Zool is here to talk about the priest cards. Well, actually, I am, but the Zool and the Snake are just kind of here anyway, so let's jump right into it. We start off with a strong card, in my opinion, the Fate Weaver. 4 cost, 3/6 dragon battle cry. If you've invoked twice, you reduce the cost of your cards in your hand by 1. So basically, a cheaper version of Emperor Thaurissan. Because most of the time with Thaurissan anyway, you were probably only getting him one turn, and then he died. So technically, I'd say this is a better version of Emperor Thaurissan. So surprisingly, has not actually seen much play because Glockron Priest hasn't really taken off. Because I just think there hasn't just been enough support for it. Even though this card exists, it's like, come on, this is great if you evoke twice card. But just because there hasn't been enough support, I will still give this playable though, because I do believe it is still a super powerful card. So, jump into Time Rip. 5 cost spell. Destroy a minion, invoke Glockron. Oh, I didn't even talk about what Glockron does for Priest. So what it does is you add a random Priest minion to your hand. So this is just a flat out better version of Assassinate. So Assassinate sees play. This has a little... Actually, this one really hasn't. But even if you don't put Glockron in the deck, it's still just an Assassinate. But now for Priest. And Priest already has plenty of removal stuff. You got Shadow Word Death, Shadow Word Pain, Shadow Word Horror. You got the potions that you take one and then most likely you're killing off another thing with that one that you just took. So Priest has lots of options to kill stuff. And now Time Rip is just another option added to the arsenal of the Priest. So I will give this card also 3 stars, 4 playable. Breath of the Infinite. 3 cost spell, deal 2 damage to all minions. If you're holding a dragon, you only deal damage to the enemies. So basically a Holy Nova without the heal if you're holding a dragon. Which is relatively okay, I guess. That's Priest's main problem, is they don't really have AoE much. So, this card just is... It looks promising, but it's kind of just underwhelming, honestly. It really doesn't see play. It's not good enough. There's so many better cards that are like, if you're holding a dragon, just so much better stuff than this one does. Most of the time, you might even see this played without the dragon. Just because, really, dragons aren't actually even being played in Priest, even though Dragon Priest has been a thing before. It might come back, you never know. But I will actually give this 2 stars for bad, because it's not a great spell. Chrono Breaker. 5 cost, 4/5 dragon. Death Rattle. If you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. The problem with this is, which I found out, is just since it's the Death Rattle, it's just too slow. Like, I'm like, yeah, it's Death Rattle, but you're still going to be able to do kind of stuff. No, it's just, because it's that Death Rattle, it's just too slow, and most likely your opponent's really not going to be able, or your opponent's going to be able to play around it and probably not have much stuff on the board. Kill this off, let the Death Rattle go through, and then he plays his minions for the turn. So if this was a battle cry, though, he would be so much better. But since it's the Death Rattle, he's not amazing. He's just kind of okay. So I will give this 3 stars for playable, because he's just kind of okay. He really doesn't see much play, sadly. So, Envoy of Lazul. 2 cost, 2/2. Battlecry. Look at 3 cards. Guess which one is in your opponent's hand. So, what it does is it takes 3 cards from your opponent's, or 2 cards from your opponent's deck and 1 card from your opponent's hand, and you have to guess which one is currently in their hand, which is very difficult. So most likely you're just going to be playing a 2 cost 2/2, which doesn't feel good. I'd rather play a 2 cost 2/2 that gives me something, which is kind of what you want in this situation especially. So because of that, it is kind of okay. It's kind of swingy on if you're actually really going to get anything out of him. So I will give it 3 stars for playable. So, Disciple of Glockrond. 1 cost, 1/2, Battlecry, Invoke Glockrond. One of the best Invoke cards that we have actually seen, but he doesn't get played. Because the Glockrond Priest doesn't get played. Which is just super... just kind of stinks, honestly. It's a decent stat line. You're invoking, you're getting something out of it. It's a good card. Just look at it. If you thought Sky Raider was good from Warrior, this is good too. So I'm still gonna give this like 3 stars for playable, because really there is actually so much support for Priest Glockrond, but it sadly cannot be put together. I think someone's gonna be able to figure out a way to get that made, but I guess not yet, because the more popular Priest option right now is still just Combo Priest. So, Whispers of Evil, 0 cost spell, add a lackey to your hand. Simple, short, to the point, cost 0, completely fair. It's basically just like putting a lackey in your deck, but not getting to pick which lackey. That's about all it is. Which lackeys, if we could put them in decks, they would be put in decks. They're great early, especially the Kobold lackey is very good early. So, this card, I give it 3 stars for playable. It's just good. Grave Rune. 4 cost spell, give a minion Death Rattle, summon 2 copies of it. This card got a nerf. So this card isn't 4 anymore, but I will rate it at the current state that I have it here. So, really good, really strong. Summoning 2 copies of anything is just good. Because you play something big, hope it doesn't die. Give it Grave. Give it Grave Rune. And then you're golden. Lich King Grave Rune. No one's going to have a fun time with that. Absolutely not. Or maybe if you're playing like a Quest Wall Priest, which I know isn't popular at all, or played much, you could throw this on a Mosh Og Enforcer, which is just a pain to deal with then. And you got two 14 taunts with Divine Shield. 214? No. Is it 214 or 212? I think it's 214. 214, yeah. Okay. So just a pain to deal with. 4 stars for this current state one. Mind Flayer. Sure. I'm just butchering half these names, I can guarantee you. 3 cost 3/3 legendary. Priest legendary. I almost said minion, which it is technically a minion, but I like to specify that it's a legendary. Battlecry, you choose an enemy minion. Death Rattle, you summon a new copy of it. So you get that copy on your side. So you pick something that you want, and then when this guy dies, you get that. I mean, it seems pretty mirror-y effect, but this is technically a better version of Faceless Manipulator. You can only run 1 copy of this, though, compared to the 2 Faceless that you can run. So honestly, this card is great. This card is strong. Not much to say. I give 4 stars for being really good. More Zhong. Where's the G? Anyway, the Infinite. 8 cost, 8/8 legendary dragon. Battle cry, play all cards your opponent played last turn. So, fun fact for you. Everyone thought this card was going to be really good. And it turned out it's not. Because you don't really want to play your stuff that your opponent just played. Like, if they just played a bunch of removal stuff, you ain't playing this. Because they probably don't have anything on the board to really remove. I mean, an 8/8 is always really nice to play. And then you also get other stuff with it. But it's still not amazing. Because if your opponent plays a bunch of big stuff, you play this and you get all that big stuff too. But your opponent gets to make the first move. So if they cause lethal with playing all your big stuff, well, I guess you can't play this. You know what you need to do then? You need to use removal. Which means you can't play this. There is very difficult points to actually play this. It's a very small area where you can actually play this, where it's a good idea. Where your opponent plays big stuff, but maybe also plays taunts at the same time. Then you can throw this down. Because then your opponent has to use their big stuff to get through the taunts that they created. Technically, they created. But they have to get through those taunts first, and then you take a small amount of damage, and then now you have the advantage, because you also have all their stuff, along with an 8/8. But, not recommended. I will give this 2 stars just because of kind of how it's been looking for this card. It's not good. And we have the Priest Glockrond, which has been neglected a lot. So you got Glockrond, the Unspeakable, which when you play it, you destroy a random enemy minion. If you upgrade it, you destroy 2. If you upgrade it again, you destroy 4 and get the 5/2 Claw. Hero power is add a random priest minion to your hand. Very nice hero power. Yes, you're done healing, but you're getting priest minions, which most likely will heal you anyway. So, I honestly do think that this Glockrond still has potential to actually be able to do stuff. But I think most other people have sadly given up on it. But I think there's still a possibility. So I still will give this one 4 stars, not 5. Because I know that I'm even being hopeful with giving it 4 stars for being very good. And 5 stars was a guarantee that I already made a deck, basically. But 4 stars would be very good. I am hopeful that someone will find a way. So, next time, we join Hagatha and the schemes of Hagatha in the Shaman cards. See you then.